June 13th, 2017. The Hydrogen Paradox of Earth and Rocky Body Formation. If you look on this little diagram down here, you'll see that you have your temperatures and your escape velocities for the material. This can be pulled off of Wikipedia. I'll see if I can't find it for the bottom, to link it to the bottom of this talk. But essentially, the abstract goes is, the velocity of hydrogen gas at temperatures hypothesized to have been on Earth and other rocky bodies during their formation is well beyond the escape velocity of Earth and other smaller bodies. So there is a paradox. How exactly did rocks, minerals, and water oceans form which contain hydrogen if hydrogen would have escaped the Earth's and other bodies' gravitational fields? The velocity of hydrogen gas at temperatures above 120 Kelvin is high enough to escape Earth's gravitational pull. Yet hydrogen exists in large quantities on the Earth in the form of molecules such as water, various rocks and minerals, comprising plant and animal life, and even buried deep in the interior of the Earth in the form of oil and natural gas. This being said, if the Earth was hot when it was forming, around the same heat as liquid rocks or about 1,000 Kelvin, then the hydrogen would have escaped Earth's gravitational pull very easily and never combined into molecules in any large amount. Hydrogen is very light and has a high velocity at even low temperatures, so it would have never been pulled in by Earth's tiny gravity. The oceans would have evaporated as well as water vapor at 1,000 Kelvin would have enough velocity to escape Earth's pull. Oceans would now have formed if the Earth was as current as its mass when it was forming from rocks clumping together, as is accepted by the dogma. So it is a paradox. How did light elements in huge quantities form molecules on the Earth during its formation if they would have easily escaped the lava world? The paradox is easy to solve. Earth was easily a gas giant well in its past, which explains the prevention of atmosphere loss. All the molecules formed on Earth were formed when the Earth was vastly larger. A larger gravitational field would prevent the hydrogen from escaping. Instead, it would be compressed and form molecules in chemical reactions, the same chemicals we find in rocks, minerals, life, and found buried deep in the interior of the Earth. All smaller rocky bodies in space that contain hydrogen were individual stars or remains of collisions between evolving stars. There is no other way to trap the hydrogen during formation unless the gravitational field is big enough to allow for molecular synthesis of the hydrogen into heavier molecules. Stellar metamorphosis can be easily falsified by finding a body with an escape velocity greater than hydrogen's escape velocity at below 1,000 Kelvin, but not containing any hydrogen. So essentially, when you see a lot of the mainstream's arguments for how Earth formed, they just clump the preformed rocks together, absent the mechanism to have formed the rocks to begin with. So essentially, they're asking you to believe in a miracle of rock formation in outer space. They'll never talk about how rocks are really formed in outer space. Not only that, but they know it's a well-known problem. They can't clump together 1 centimeter sized particles in outer space because there's no gravitational field there. Just like in the game of billiards, if you hit the cue ball and it hits the 8 ball or the 9 ball, what happens is they bounce off of each other. It's a very, very, very slow, very slow velocity. So just imagine, how would you take 2 centimeter sized iron meteorites or rocks and clump them together in outer space? If given any momentum at all, they would just bounce right off of each other and keep on going in the opposite directions. There's no way to form Earth like that. They have no method for forming rocks in outer space. As well, they have no method for bringing the hydrogen together into molecules because the Earth's gravitational field would have not have been big enough. Look for that. Look for a lot of the talk about that. Notice how they avoid the subject altogether because they don't have any answers for it. That being said, I'll see if I can find this again, but I will link this to the bottom of the page. Just check that out. you'll see that Earth had to have been a gas giant in its past. There's no way. There's no way it could have had the composition it has now. Alright, y'all. Later.